Jaya Vrinda Deve, Jaya Vrinda Deve, Jaya Vrinda Deve, Jaya Vrinda Deve. Tulasi Maharani ki, Vrinda Devi ki.
I assume it is. Just in Hey no Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur. Kahamura Swarupa Kahasanatan Ragunata Patita Pavan. Kahamura Bhata Yuga Kaha Kaviraj. Eka Kale Kota Gela Koda Nataraj. Kashane Kutivo Mata Anale Pashivo. Gaudanga Gunera Niti Kota Gele Pavo. Se Saba Sangira Sange Ye Koilo Vilas. Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamadas. Yeyani Lo Premadana Koruna Prachur. Jayam Vishnipad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Sasatra Shri Srimati Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Tiro Baba Celebration of Srila Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Pen Sekaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasam Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Yamuna Devi Ki Ganga Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Kosi Devi Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Sankirtan Yogya Ki Gaur Premanandi. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Vitale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Namaste Shri Nadi Krishna Vidya. Om Jnana Chimarandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Cham Militam Jena Tasmai Shri. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my most respectful obeisances unto him. Okay, so this is a sober day, being the celebration of the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada. So why do we say disappearance day? Why is it a celebration? Because we know the disappearance of somebody dear to us is generally not a cause of celebration, but generally lamentation, and especially a effulgent, a luminous personality as Srila Prabhupada. But it is a celebration. Like one thing we know, when the Lord appears, he generally displays like when Lord Krishna appeared, of course. Right from the beginning, it's so extraordinary, his appearance, and it's obvious that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead and about to perform extraordinary activities. But for the great pure devotees and the acharyas in our line, of course, when they're just born, we don't really know because they haven't done anything yet. So now, by the end of their life, we see their achievements. Especially, we see, we've heard so much of how Srila Prabhupada spent his whole life, like the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. The first volume is called A Lifetime in Preparation. So how Prabhupada prepared his life with undergoing great austerities, and also, just so that he can fulfill the order of his spiritual master to come to the Western world and to preach Krishna consciousness in the English language. So we've heard a lot about that. So now, because there's not a whole lot of time, so we know that there are dozens, like literally dozens of books written about Srila Prabhupada. I think more than any other acharya, because many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples have written about their memoirs. So one such memoir is Tamal Krishna Maharaj's diary of Prabhupada's final days. And so in February of 1977, Tamal Krishna, he went to Vrindavan, where Srila Prabhupada was, or actually he was in Mayapur at the time, and he said that he could take time off from his other preaching engagement. You all heard of the Radha Damodar party and how Tamal Krishna Maharaj was very instrumental in establishing that, and in also being the leader of one of the buses and other preaching activities, and then in New York as well. So he said he could be available to be Prabhupada's secretary and servant, and Prabhupada very much appreciated him and relied on him for many decision-making situations. He would ask his advice, and he knew that he was competent to do many things. So now, shortly after this, Srila Prabhupada was at an ashram of Sridhar Maharaj for some event, and as they were leaving, so this is, around February, and Srila Prabhupada collapsed, and the devotees caught him. So they had a feast they had cooked with mustard oil, and although it might taste good, Srila Prabhupada could not digest mustard oil, and probably not too many of us could either. So that was like kind of the beginning, of the decline. So this in Srila Prabhupada's health. So that whole year, gradually his health was declining, and so I'm going to skip ahead, because like you see that Srila Prabhupada, I mean, like literally just days before he left this world, he's so concerned about the continuation of the movement. And whenever devotees would come to see him, he would, from other places, especially from America, he said, so how many books are you all distributing? Because this gives me life. And in the early days of the movement, all devotees, when they joined the temple, they went on book distribution, and at least Harinam. We had, in New York, they had Harinam for like 10 hours a day. And, all new devotees went, and it's so vital for your long-term Krishna consciousness that especially in the beginning, you have a strong foundation of the missionary movement that we are part of. It's a missionary movement. And also Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I think he was foremost in, he and Romeshwar Swami, they were foremost in really preaching about book distribution. Like every single Bhagavatam class, almost everyone talked about book distribution. Now it's kind of not so prominent. Now you're on your own if you want to do it. But of course, Aditya Narayan takes out all the weekend warriors too. So anyway, so now Srila Prabhupada is in Vrindavan, and now his health is really bad, and it's really declining, but he's still translating. We know up until like the very last day, he's translating his books, even when his voice was very weak. So now they have a really good Kaviraj come all the way from Calcutta to Vrindavan. He's like, a really reputed one, and he's a devotee as well. So he came to take care of Prabhupada, and now the devotees who were taking care of him, especially Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Swami, and also Upendra and Bhavananda, like they were the main caretakers for Srila Prabhupada. And they had to monitor everything because, he had no appetite. He was not eating and not drinking. And he said, how can I eat if I have no appetite? And they had to monitor everything, like every ounce of water that he took, and everything that was excreted from the body to see. So this Kaviraj, he very much promoted, milk. You have to drink milk so that you can gain some strength. And Prabhupada would do that, take some milk. But the devotees were very concerned. But it was like, okay, how many books? Like everyone, he said, this is what gives me life when I hear. And he would even inquire, about the temples and how many devotees and how are they, going out on Harinama as well. And also, like in New York, they had Prasadam carts. Even there, he asked, how many carts do they have, and what kind of prasadam are they selling, and things like that. So, just last Wednesday was Govardhan Puja, just 2 days ago, and also on Sunday we celebrated it. So Prabhupada was very much, wanted to go to Govardhan. You all heard this, how he was like, okay, I want to go. Like, here he is in bed, like he can't even sit up, really, and can hardly speak, sometimes very faintly and sometimes strongly. So he's like, I want to go see all the holy places, all over India. I want to go on pilgrimage and on parikrama, and I always wanted to do this, and the devotees and the Kaviraj is like, there's no way, okay, you can do that. You have to get strong first, so you have to take medicine, you have to take, milk, you have to start eating, and when you get strong, then you can go, and after you've gained some strength. So he's like, okay, so then, he calls Lokanath Maharaj, and he tells him that, you're expert, because already he had his Brikrama party with bullock carts and all. So you can arrange, I want to go on bullock cart. Now, Vrindavan, you've been there lately, the roads have improved a little, but back then they're really bumpy, especially off the paved roads. Going, by bullock cart to Govardhan, it's quite an arduous journey and very bumpy and all. But Prabhupada's well, that's really what I want. So now, here it is in November 11th. So 3 days before Srila Prabhupada left, he talked with Bhavananda and then with Giri Raj, and then he said, called Tamal Krishna Maharaj and said, I'm not getting strength. Even to lift my leg, I need help. Practically my left leg is not working. What should be done? Now consider. So he had pain. This was at the end, very prominent. His left leg, especially his thigh, was excruciatingly painful, and it would wake him up in the night even. And then it came to it every 3 hours he would get like an attack of this pain in his leg. And it was just like clockwork. He would get up, in the night, 1 o'clock in the morning, then 4 o'clock, then 7, every 3 hours. And this went on for several days. Now, so now Prabhupada says, okay, that I want to, I'm stopping all management. So now I want you to do it. He said, I wish you to manage very nicely as if I were dead, and let me travel to the Tirthasthanas without responsibility. He said, I've done everything for a dying man to do. I've signed all the papers. He left left in the properties and all in charge of ISKCON and other things. And also, after that collapse, when he was in Mayapur, that's when he said we should write a will. So that's when he wrote a will. And so he said, okay, now let me go. And if I die, what is that? They can bring the dead body to Mayapur or Vrindavan. A little medicine, no medicine, a little milk and travel one place to another. If there is death, what is the lamentation? In open air, bullock cart during daytime, or you can say civil suicide. Although living, he said, consider me dead for the time being. You manage. And he's saying in India now it's very nice weather. This is November. In the daytime it's nice and sunny and warm. But the devotee said, but at nighttime it's very cold, because he's there. No, we'll just stay under a tree. There's shelter under the tree. It's not as cold. And then Prabhupada said, I know you're all very good managers, so I know that you can do it. And Prabhupada said, therefore I say, don't keep me locked up. You keep me free. They have got experience in India. You can go village to village. Now, then Trivikram Maharaj said, previously there was some risk. What is that risk? This is my proposal, Jaipataka Maharaj, that will be after you have gained, after some strength. And Prabhupada said, yes, free air and some change, and I can come back later. And he won't even be translating when he's traveling. So Bhavananda said, I think it's a good idea, but you should not take unnecessary risk. Prabhupada, no, when I am okay, I shall come back to Mayapur, Vrindavan, or Bombay, or anywhere. And they asked how, so now you can't go on bullock cart to South India, right? So you will travel by bus. He said, whatever you arrange, then that's how I'll travel. But Prabhupada said, you have tried doctors, Kaviraj, medicine, everything has failed. Now, supposing I am taking risk of death, what is the wrong? When I am dead, if you go in India and bring my body either to Mayapur or Vrindavan. Mayapur, the land is already there. Vrindavan, I think you have gate sight. Wherever you like, you do. Jaipataka Maharaj, Thakur Bhakti Vinod, he said it was not proper near the gate. Prabhupada, no, there is ample room. So anyway, they're saying, okay, now you're talking. See, Prabhupada now has life, because just the idea that he's going to go traveling, it gave him enthusiasm, because before even his speech was rather weak. And they said, yeah, it seems you are getting stronger. And Dr. Maharaj had said, even a healthy cow lying in one place will become ill. So, okay, so Prabhupada's telling all the places he wants to go. And then again, he said, if I die, what is the wrong? And if there is death, that is natural. And okay, so now he said, all right, consider the situation. And they said, okay, when would you like to go? Immediately, he said, like tomorrow, I want to go. And they said, oh, okay. He said, Prabhupada, so all of you give permission, then I will go. And they were going to, he said, okay, you can have a caravan. You can go in a van, and then other devotees will follow in other vans like that. And he said, all right, let's test it out. We'll go just around Vrindavan first, one day, just to Vrindavan. And then Lokanath Swami went and hired the bullock cart, and in that he wanted to go in bullock cart. It was 100 rupees for a whole day. That's like now what, $1.20 to rent a whole bullock cart and a driver and everything. So okay, so then the devotees, we know, they were in great anxiety because the Kaviraj was like, he came, there's no way, even, he said, and plus he said, if you go outside the gate of Krishna Balaram, even if Lord Balaram or Mahavishnu calls me back, I won't come back from Calcutta, because he works in Calcutta. And he said, I'm not going to come back because you're going to be finished anyway if you go out. And so they're like this, and then the devotees are there. Prabhupada, we really think we need to get stronger first. And he said, I'm not getting stronger. I'm just declining. There is no getting stronger. This is the end. So then Prabhupada said, okay, call Krishnadas Babaji. You may have read about him. He was incessantly chanting the holy name. And he was Srila Prabhupada's friend. And he said, all right, call him. Let me see what he says. So he came to visit Prabhupada, and very convincingly he spoke that Prabhupada should not go. He said, why should you go out and risk your life? And then Babaji, Prabhupada's friend, Prabhupada said, he also feels that I should not go. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj, how can you go? The road is so bad. There'll be so much jerking. And then we're all very upset. All of us are upset that you're going to go. Prabhupada said, all right, I don't want to upset you. And then he said, the devotees told. So now, Srila Prabhupada was still thinking of it and all. But then what happened was on November 13th, so one day before, that was the pain, so much pain in his leg, and he wanted hot compresses. He said, get a coal-burning stove, little coal-burning stove, and heat up salt and make compresses with salt to put on the pain on his leg. And so they they did, and then that would bring some relief and all. And then they even were using hot water bottles, but it just kept coming. And then on this day, the 14th of November, the attacks continued every 3 hours. But he was in deep consciousness, not external. And so when the attacks came, he moved his right ear. And so now it was apparent, they knew, okay, this Srila Prabhupada's getting ready to leave. It's not getting any better. So then the Kaviraj, since he was not passing anything, he said we should do a catheter So Tamal Maharaj said, let me consult the Kangsadutta, Swarup Damodar, Jagadish, Bhavananda, the GBCs, and they decided no, we will not permit it, since Prabhupada had not appreciated Tirtha Maharaj's expiring with tubes in his body. Besides, it would have just prolonged his presence for a short while, and not worth it. So now Prabhupada's godbrothers came, and Tamal Maharaj put benches on each side of the bed so they can sit. Prabhupada's, and she kept asking him, because she always liked to cook for him, and she said, Prabhupada, have you eaten something? So even in that condition, she wanted to cook, and he didn't respond to her, even though she kept asking. And then she always, those of you who remember her, she always carried a bottle of Ganga Jal, and she would sprinkle it on everybody. And before she sat down, or when she got up, she would sprinkle this place she sat. But she went and sprinkled it on Prabhupada and everything. So now, Ban Maharaj, Krishnadas Babaji, Ananda Prabhu, and his god-nephew, Narayan Maharaj, they sat and watched Prabhupada. And then, so when Narayan Maharaj spoke in Prabhupada's ear, but he didn't respond, then Bhakti Churu Swami told him that that's Narayan Maharaj, and they are here, they're present, those names. So he slowly raised his left hand to his head in salutation and started crying. And so they said, all right, we're going to go now. Just call us if he's going to leave, progress. We don't think he's going to leave anytime soon. And then the Kaviraj said he's going to leave in 2 or 3 hours, that's all, because he could tell by feeling the pulse and everything. So now, they called the temples all over the world. We were all having kirtan for Srila Prabhupada, and everybody remembers where they were, all the Prabhupada disciples and devotees who were there. We remember where we were and what we were doing when we received the news of Prabhupada's departure, because it was so significant. Now, so now all the pujaris came with flower garlands, tulsi garlands. They put a tulsi near Prabhupada's head, and then, the main thing was that pain in his legs. But then at 7:25 p.m., Srila Prabhupada opened his eyes, which were very clear, more so than in many months. His mouth opened, his tongue moved, and then he became still. The Kaviraj took Prabhupada's pulse and held a cotton swab to his nostril, detecting no movement of air. Our beloved Srila Prabhupada had departed. So now, imagine the whole room, devotees started wailing and crying, and they had all like deities of all different temples. Prabhupada's favorite deities, you could say, were around, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta photo, and they decorated. Chandan. They put tulsi on his forehead and chandan, and he departed. So now, oh, how the world has become devoid of its crest jewel, Srila Prabhupada. Oh, how everything is now vacant. The room filled with wailing and crying. Devotees clutched Prabhupada's lotus feet, and Pishima approached, crying piteously. That's Srila Prabhupada's sister. Now, we asked most of the devotees to leave so they could, get Prabhupada ready, because Ban Maharaj said, you should take Srila Prabhupada on parikrama to the 7 major temples. And so they sat Prabhupada up and crossed his legs so the body wouldn't become stiff, they wouldn't be able to do it. later. And then Bhavananda closed his jaw with a cloth. You've seen pictures of Prabhupada on the palanquin. And then they took him into the temple room. So even though now it's nighttime, and they many conch shells were blowing, and mridungas and kartals and kirtan, and they took Srila Prabhupada before each deity, and then they circumambulated the temple 3 times, and then again before the altar of Krishna Balaram, and then the devotees circumambulated his body 4 times with kirtan, afterwards placing his whole body on the Vyasasan. Now, so not, the devotees have not, slept. Like, they're up all night and all the way till the next night. So now, all through the night, Narayan Maharaj, Krishnadas Babaji, and Ananda Prabhu, they performed kirtan. They led the kirtans and prayers throughout the whole night. Prabhupada's expression was sublime. Just as when he had previously sat on the Vyasasan, his eyes were closed. There was a slight smile on his face, and we all expected and prayed that at any moment he would lift his hand and return to us. Now, so then in the morning at 6:30, after they bathed Prabhupada and everything, then at 6:30 they took him on procession. First of all, the head of each of the 7 temples came to Krishna Balaram Mandir to escort Prabhupada to their temple, as they went, and all of Vrindavan, Prabhupada was taken, and when he went to each temple, the head pujari would come and they would offer respect to Prabhupada. I'm not sure, maybe some arti. So Prabhupada, he sat up in his palanquin like a strong lion, and everyone was amazed. Everywhere they're just saying Jai Prabhupada, because everyone in Vrindavan knew him. And then when they got to each temple, Narayan Maharaj was chanting the name of the deity, Jai Madam Mohan, Jai Radha Damodar, Jai Radha Raman, and then Jai Srila Prabhupada. And so they were all merged in an ocean of grief, yet we were proud to be his disciples. And so that went for 3 hours around to the 7 temples, and then back to Krishna Balaram Mandir at 9:30. And we brought to the Samadhi site Upendra and Bhavananda Maharaj undressed Srila Prabhupada, leaving only his kopin, and placed him on banana leaves. And then Narayan Maharaj, then Krishnadas Babaji, then Ananda Maharaj poured Yamuna water over his transcendental body. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj took a conch shell and had the devotees touch it, so like representing all the devotees, and then he bathed Prabhupada over and over with the Yamuna water. Then they dressed him in new silks and a new sacred thread, Brahmin thread. Then Tulsi, Narayan Maharaj took a Tulsi Manjari and with Chandan wrote the Samadhi mantra on Srila Prabhupada's chest. So, and then Narayan Maharaj, Ananda Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj descended into the pit, which was 7 to 9 feet down, and at the bottom was a pure white slab of marble, and they performed puja, and then Bhavananda Maharaj and Upendra lifted Srila Prabhupada's transcendental form, and then Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Bhakti Charu Swami received that form and placed him in a sitting position, and again, I guess they're having arti. All the devotees are chanting. Then Prabhupada had instructed them, we poured 9-inch deep of salt around Prabhupada's, I guess, at least around his legs, and then the rest filled with dirt. And they made a whole little marcation above where his head was, because now you see at the Samadhi of Prabhupada, the Murti there is right above where Prabhupada is down below, because they made a kind of altar above it. They covered the area with canopy and bamboo rods with silk and tulsi plants on each side, and a photo of Prabhupada. So now they said Prabhupada really wanted to go on parikrama around Govardhan, so let's take him. So on that very morning, after, they said let's do it on Gopastami, so that's going to be Wednesday, so it's 3 days after. Well, it was the 18th, so 4 days after his departure. So after Mangal Arti, the devotees took prasadam of puri, halava, and sabji. And then in buses and vans, we all set out with Prabhupada. They brought Prabhupada Didi, the big Murti, and took him in a car. First they went to Radha Kund, because Prabhupada had told them when he was unable to go, you all go on my behalf. So now they put the Didi in the water, and Achutananda performed the Abhishek ceremony, and 3 times he was bathed, and then they did the Abhishek in the middle of Radhakund, Shamakund, on that strip there. And then he was dried and dressed in new silk cloth, placed upon his palanquin, and offered full arti, the devotees chanting, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Then they took Srila Prabhupada's Murti, circumambulated Radhakund, Shamakund 3 times. And then they all went in their vehicles to Govardhan, just as Prabhupada really wanted to go to Govardhan. So with his palanquin, and which was decorated very nicely with flowers and other things, and so they circumambulated, and they just were like, they were feeling so much separation, but they were feeling they were with Prabhupada, again. And we were so glad to see him riding on his palanquin, leading us always, giving us shelter. And they came to Govinda Kund, where Madhavendra Puri had found Gopal, and Indra had given Abhishek to Krishna. So they stopped there, and they heard the nectar of instruction, the verses 9 to 11 that talks about, especially talks about Govardhan Hill and about Radha Kund, and how, the most fortunate people in the universe reside there. And so they read that. And then they just had Prabhupada Katha, all devotees talking about, their experiences with Srila Prabhupada and his glories and all, and his different pastimes. And especially the past 2 weeks, which had been so sweet, actually bittersweet, and all, how, they told Prabhupada, you're simply, by just you lying there, you are so much increasing our attachment to you, by the anxiety of him not getting better, and caring for him and wanting to fulfill his desires. So he told them, before I was doubtful, I thought, when I leave, then what's going to happen to this movement? I was always worried. So now I feel assured. I feel like it's going to go on with all of your strong leadership. So you have to keep the movement going. And now we see how much it has expanded. Like Prabhupada was asking about Mayapur, Shadadanya Maharaj, like how many people are coming? He said we have 1,000 people a day coming. Now there's probably 10,000 a day. And how many books are being distributed every day? He so much was concerned about how everything will be maintained. And so he said, now I can go, because I think, we've settled everything, and you're going to carry on. I'm really, he was depending on the leaders of the movement. So, um, so Prabhupada was attracting. He said, we remembered the past 2 weeks, how we took pleasure understanding how the past months were given by Prabhupada for deepening our love and for no other purpose. He simply lay on his bed week after week with no other purpose than to attract us. How merciful he acted toward us. As we wound around the hill, the path was uneven, and they were thinking, wow, if Prabhupada was on a bullock cart here, it's so bumpy, but now he could do that in his form, his murti. And so they walked the 8 miles in 3 hours, and then they rode to Kusham Kunj, and they took water. They put Prabhupada in a covered garden house, and all sported in the water, and then Satsrup Maharaj and Achyutananda Maharaj spoke about the early days in New York, the early days of the movement. And then at 5:30 p.m., we all sat down and enjoyed a most transcendental feast, eating to our full satisfaction. We proceeded back to Vrindavan, back to home, with Srila Prabhupada, weary as we rode in our car. It had been a wonderful outing because Prabhupada had been present. Srila Prabhupada lives with those who live to fulfill his desires. Sorry, we take shelter beneath the lotus feet of our beloved Guru Maharaj, whom we eternally serve. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So unending. Like I say, there are dozens of books about Prabhupada, and it's so wonderful, devotees recounted, and especially Tamal, taking notes. He kept a diary in the middle of all of that was going on. Good thing. Okay, isn't it time for the... Oh, I was waiting for them. But okay. Okay, all glories to the Prabhupada.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Samasitam Buddha Sundaranam Tandar Ako Vitamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Vipan Vikayanti Giram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Satyam Sachi Anandarupam Lasat Kundalang Gokule Rajamanam.
You want to say? Here, you want to say?
Jashoda Vyalukala Ravamana Param Rishtam Atyanta Todrutya Gopya Rudanta Muhurnetram Yukmamrijantam Karamboja Rupmena Satankanetram Mukhusvasakam patrire kankakanta Stitagrai vandamodaram bhaktivadam Iti Drikshvalila Virananda Kunde Svagosham Nimajanta Magyapayanta Tadiyeshita Geshu Bhaktai Jitatvam Puna Prematastam Shata Vritti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Vadimva Nashanyam Vrineham Vare Shadapiha Idam Deva Purnata Gopalavalam Sadame Manasya Virastam Kimanjai Idante Mukham Bojamatyanta Nilai Vritam Kundalai Sniktai Raktai Shagopya Mukhushumbitam Bimbarakthadaram me Manasya Virastam Alam Lakshalabhai Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhuka Jalabdi Magna Kripa Drishti Vrishtyati Dinam Bhatanu Grihane Shamamagyame Dyakshidrishja Kuberat Majau Bhada Muchai Vajatva Vajamo Shitau Bhakti Vajau Kritau Cha Tata Prema Bhaktin Svakam Me Prayaksha Namokshe Grahomesti Damodareha Namaste Studamne Shurabdipti Damne Vadiyo Dharayata Vishvasya Damne Namo Radhikaya Vadiya Priyaya Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tuvya Namo Radhikaya Vadiya Priyaya Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tuvya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Shri Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Controller, who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening ears swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar I offer my humble obeisances. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick. And as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, who is bound by his devotees' love, I offer my humble obeisances. Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drowned the inhabitants of Gokula